Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You're watching Big Fish Lad, and for those of you that don't know who I am, my name's Paul, and today I'm gonna do a question and answer session. What I did was I reached out to my followers on Instagram and I asked them to ask me some questions that I could then come onto YouTube and answer. So if anyone's watching this video who's from my Instagram account, which by the way is Big Fish Lad, the same as my YouTube account, come over and follow if you like. Thank you for sending the questions, because I had quite a lot of questions. I've got them in my phone, so I picked 10. I picked 10 just because if I'd have asked them all, the video would have just droned on, and we don't want to do that. So I picked 10 which I thought were quite questions that I really liked and I wanted to answer. So we'll start with question 1, and the question 1 is, what is your biggest fish in your fish room right now? So at the moment it's Boris, which is my cross Viajesin Spilling Super Red Texas. He is about 12 inches, in fact he is 12 inches because I measured him, and right now he's about an inch bigger, maybe half an inch bigger than my male jag. So I guess if you ask me that question in a couple of months time, my jag's probably going to be bigger. But right now Boris the Red Sin is the biggest fish in my fish room. Question 2, what was the first fish you ever bought? So it's not a goldfish, which a lot of people would probably say. It's actually a tiger Oscar, but what I'm going to do is a question which is a bit further down the list, which I will tell you why it was a tiger Oscar with a bit more explanation. So question 3, what fish would you have that you've never owned? Simple, pair of Doveye cichlids, Parachromis Doveye, the wolf cichlid, because they're just my favourite fish. The reason I don't have them is because I don't believe I've got a big enough tank to house a pair. I don't think my 7 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot is big enough, just because of the footprint. I think that a Doveye needs at least a 3 foot footprint, so I couldn't fit one of those tanks in this house. But if I move, then I can fit a tank with a 3 foot footprint in, then I'll definitely be having a pair of Parachromis Doveye. But to now, it still remains the fish that I would love most that I've never owned. Question 4, am I going to breed Boris? Now, just for those of you on YouTube, Boris my Red Sin is quite famous on Instagram. I get loads and loads of messages, loads of likes and loads of questions about my Red Sin. People love him on Instagram, so that's why I've had that's why I picked 2 questions, because a lot of the questions were about Boris, to be honest with you. Am I going to breed him? Well, I don't have plans on breeding him, and to be honest with you, we think he might be infertile, and that is because the guy who I bought him off tried him once with a female of the same type, and he didn't fertilize the eggs. Now, he observed him and he was swimming over the eggs, so he thinks that he's infertile, which is why I have him now. If he wasn't infertile, he definitely wouldn't be with me now, because he would have kept him to breed him. He cost me a lot of money, but he was worth every penny. Okay, question 5. How did I get into fish keeping? And now with this question, I can answer the one about the Oscar cichlid as well. So I got into fish keeping when I was 15, because a girlfriend that I had at the time, her dad had fish tanks. He had 2 4-foot fish tanks, and he had a big koi pond. But I weren't as interested in the koi pond, but I loved his fish tanks. And he usually have them on like a rack. So he had one on the top, one on the bottom, and the one on the top, it was just a community tank, 4-foot community tank full of plants, loads of clown loaches, they're only small ones, and like loads of just different types of small tropical fish. In the bottom one, he had a huge pacu, and it must have been about 15 inches, and honestly it was huge, proper too big for the tank. But back then, no one ever moaned about the size of a fish in a tank, and you didn't have social media and stuff like that, so there was no fish police jumping on you and things like that. But yeah, it was, I think that was the done thing in them days, because I remember a couple of guys who had pacus in little 4-foot tanks like that. So yeah, that I just remember being obsessed, and I would just like go in his back room where they were, and I'd sit and I'd just watch them. And then when he was doing water changes, cleaning his tanks out, I wanted to help him, so I learned how to do that kind of stuff when I was helping him before I even had a tank. And then when he would go to the fish shops for his food or for his meds or new fish, whatever it was, I would go with him. So when it goes back to the question about my first fish, on my 16th birthday he bought me a 3-foot fish tank with an Oscar cichlid, because every time I used to go in the fish shops with him, I would always just sit and stand and stare at the Oscar cichlids. I just loved them. So he bought me one, a small one, and I had him for ages. I just remember I had him for ages, and then I remember upgrading him to a 4-foot tank because he got bigger. And I can't remember what happened to him in the end, because obviously it's a long time ago now. But yeah, that was my first ever fish, and that's how I got into fish keeping. So, what question are we on now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're on question 6. So, what would your setup look like with no boundaries? So, if I could have whatever I wanted and it fit, I would probably have a 7 foot long by 3 foot wide by 2 foot to 2.5 foot high with a pair of Dovi. And then with the 7 by 2 that I've already got, I'd probably put my Parachromis Managuense in there, my Jaguar cichlids, and then I'd have a load of these dual 450s here, what I've got behind me. Probably have up to 4 of them with different pairs of Central American fish or North American fishing. Trimax cichlids, I love them. The Texas cichlids, Atiensis, Red Devils, Midas. So if I could, I'd probably have a lot more. But yeah, that's the kind of setup I'd have if I had no boundaries. Have you ever bred fish? So yeah, I have bred fish. About 2 years ago I went through a bit of a spell and a bit of a period where I just loved breeding the fish. So I was breeding angels, little BM bristlenose plex, rams, waru. I bred some waru, I bred some acaras. I've obviously bred the jags. I've only ever grown one of those jags on though. And other fish, I can't remember what other fish I've bred, but yeah, I really enjoyed it at the time. But right now it's not for me, because it takes a lot of your time, you know, looking after the fry when they grow on. So I wouldn't be doing it right now, although I have been thinking of maybe getting one small tank that's split in half and having some angels on one side and maybe some bristlenose on the other, because it's not too much work if you do it on a small scale like that. So yeah, I have bred fish, and like I say, I enjoyed it at the time. At the moment I don't have time to do that. The next question is question 8. Central American or South American? So if you'd have asked me this question probably, I'd say a year and a half ago, I would have hands down said South American, and for the 20 odd years, 26 years, whatever it is before it, I would have said South American, no problem. Right now, I'd say Central American, because I've made that change. You know, I was inspired by people keeping Central American cichlids. I actually, you know, wanted to try it, and now I'm keeping Central American cichlids. I don't miss my South American, but after spending that many years keeping South American, I'd say both, but right now I'd have to say Central American if you wanted one answer, because that's what I'm keeping. Question 9, how many tanks have you got right now, and what's the most you have had at any one time? So right now I have got 4, but I have got plans for one more. I'm just in the process of getting some quotes, which I've not actually gone out for yet, but I know who I'm going to ask. So yeah, 4 at the moment, hopefully 5 soon. I currently have a 7 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, which is 200 gallons in US. I have a 5 foot by 20 inches wide by 26 inches high, which is about 140 gallons I think. Then I've got a 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot cube, which is that's about 60 gallons I think US. And then I've got a 4 foot by 15 foot by 4 foot by 15 inches by 20 inches, which is I think about 65 gallons, so around them areas anyway. And that's what I've got right now. The one I'm planning is only a small one. Going back to the breeding question, I'm thinking of having a small one. But yeah, that's 4 at the moment. The most I've ever had at one time was 8 when I was breeding, so I had 8 tanks in this room, but obviously the biggest tank I had at the time was only a 4 foot long one. The rest were like 3 foot, 2 foot, because I just had like pairs of small fish in them breeding. So yeah, 8 at the most at one time and 4 at the moment. And the last question, number 10, is if you could only keep one type of fish for the rest of your life, what would it be? I have been asked this question before, so I knew the answer when I saw it, but I think it's a really good question, you know, and when you think about it, it's not an easy question, but I would absolutely plump for a tank full of Warus, so I would just go for the Waru, and I'd have like, if it was only allowed one fish, I'd have a big tank full of them, so with loads of dead nice spider wood in and rocks, and then I would just have a school of huge Waru, and that's definitely the one fish that I would have. And it's not easy, it's not an easy question, but yeah, I'd definitely go for them. And that's it, that's the 10 question, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed answering the questions and a bit of reminiscing and stuff like that. So, you know, if you feel free to ask me any more questions in the comments down below, but also let me know the answers to some of the questions from your point of view as well, because that's really good. And if you want to come over to my Instagram account at Big Fish Lad, come over there as well and you know, watch my stories, or you know, ask me the questions over there. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Do us a favour, if you're watching now and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't, ping the bell so you can get notifications of the next videos, because like I said, I'm doing 2 videos each week now, on a Wednesday and a Friday while we're in lockdown. And also, guys, feel free to comment and like, and you know, if you've got any ideas on what I can do going forward from a video point of view, let me know, because I'm open to what you guys think and what you guys want to see. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next video.